try to find those leaders who have access to the people that distribute the bailout money and start making requests now for bailout money for various projects, including producers, for example.
That's my position. Rather than waiting to hear from somebody, we start making the noise.
Right. Start making requests for money, because there's trillions of dollars, and the one key thing that I understand is you should say, and you probably will have a better chance of getting the money, is that we're waiting right now with the people. It's a project that the minute we get the money, we start spending it immediately. It'll hit the people. It won't be months away, but right now we can do something like that. If you design a program like that, you may have a better chance of getting money. But who are the people that have the money that they can divide that money up? How do we find out who those people are?
Yeah, if the producers at Manhattan Neighborhood Network can't get some minuscule team.
Well, that's from a private company, but there's trillions of dollars of our money floating around for us to ask for if we know the people in New York State who are going to be given the authority to issue it. The same way that the Treasury, the Secretary of the Treasury was given $800 billion on his own name with no standards, just to issue to his friends, which he did. Maybe
we could become friends?
Yeah, well, we have to identify who
we got a trillion.
Let's have our friend request.
But call ourselves Friends Academy.
Yeah, I just think that we need to explore that, and really it seems to me this is what we talk about, putting our minds together, explore.
Josh?
Exactly.
It's streaming now, everybody. We're streaming. Josh Volinski is coming. That's good.
Can you raise the camera higher?
Yes.
Yes, but if you give me the link, I'll send it out tonight.
Trying to figure out the fucking
It's on there. I'll send.
Is it streaming on that?
It's streaming now, everybody. You had to push broadcast, so now we're streaming out to the world.
Okay.
And we're setting the template for the future. This is a big thing. You can stream. It's great.
Yeah, I'd like to say something.
Yes. Okay. Frank's got something to say.
Rabbit Hole Central,
Hi.
and then I'll forward it to all of you.
Yeah, I'd like to say something.
Yeah. Put the camera on yourself. That's good.
First of all of our talk about what's going to happen regarding the future of public access is null and void until we cross the bridge when we come to it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that after 30 years of success, we'll continue another 30 years of increased success and appreciation, because we're the only truly uncensored, beautiful source of information, of real news and street rallies and stories of injustice and stories that the real people want to get out there and want to know. So we're street news. Excuse me. And we're funded by the heart, by our love, and every independent producer goes forward because of the pride of his own program. And there's no question that will flourish and be recognized, and the cream will rise to the top. Those people like myself and Joe Friendly and Harold and Paula, who are present here, have well-known shows because we do take a lot of pride in our work, and we make an interesting show that's for the highest good of all. On the subject of MNN and how it should be run, my suggestion is that I was subject to an unfair ban for a year, and I had no recourse to adjudication, and I was actually rumored about, and a lot of malevolence went out through gossip and slander. And in the spirit of journalism, which public access is about, is a communication, and any conflict resolution happens when two parties have to sit down and communicate and work out their differences. So I'm totally, I'm feeling very concerned about the fact that they have this policy of banning people, which is contrary to journalism, contrary to productive, cooperative, and community-minded consensus and working together. Dean Lauren, for instance, was banned, and it was because he was trying to look into the books and trying to peek under the cracks and ask about the budget. And everyone should have access to just full disclosure of fiscal responsibility and transparency, and accountability should be a no-brainer, especially with a public-funded access TV station. Secondly, I think we should have a rotating 5-member board of review for not only producers but staff if there's a problem, and that every semester through alphabetically going down the list of the people who are hired and then producers to take part in a review process and just be able to discuss amongst themselves and the person involved, whether he's a staff member who's fired or a producer who's banned, to be their case reviewed, so to speak. And if indeed they are guilty of some malevolent problem to which they are breaking the rules or actually being disrespectful and completely meritorious of punishment, then the punishment should be, again, in the spirit of community-minded public access TV, and they should be told to mop the floors or teach editing or do community service of somewhere. Yeah, do service, teach the kids, go out there, run a class, help out with the education, do stuff that's in service to public access TV for the benefit of the public and public access TV, instead of saying, no, you're banned, get out of here, you're not welcome, you're not welcome. You're not welcome. That's like 3 strikes, you're out. You know, there's no hope for tomorrow. There's no sense of communication. There's no dynamic for reformation and communication. If a person's broken the rules and they want to apologize, or they don't want to apologize, if they want to keep working, they got to work it out somewhere. But just to say, you're banned for 2 weeks, or you're banned for 2 months, you're banned for a year, it's like, get out of my face, I don't want to see you, we don't have room for you. It's very contrary to journalism and communication.
Aside from that, they infantilize us, and we don't like that. We don't like to be infantilized. We're not delinquent children. You know what I mean? We're here to deliver our message.
I never thought about that.
No, but that's exactly what they do. You know what I mean? And now they have somebody at the desk at production monitoring what we're doing on the computer while we're editing, which I find it could be helpful if you're having difficulty with a program, but not if somebody is just.
Joshua Volinski's arrived, everybody.
Hello, Josh.
I forgot your name, brother. What's your name? Ice, okay. Ice is here.
Right. We want no censorship, no authority, no one monitoring us and telling us what to do or getting approval of what we're doing. Thank you.
Nobody, Josh, you want to say?
You would not word like that in color.
Wait.
That's a good word. Like school. That's a big thing.
You grew up in Mississippi?
Yeah, segregation.
Oh yeah, she's old towers.
I know a little bit about that.
Malcolm X and Martin King and Stokely. And here's Joshua's here, and Ice, is that it? Ike! Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said Ice. I thought it sounded like a rap thing or something like that. Anyway, welcome. Well, I don't know, we're all in the ball game together, though. And I mean, the I don't want to talk, but the institution of public access should be vouchsafed. It's a very important thing because it's so unique, and the thing that makes it most unique is the way it's financed. That's what makes it most unique. It's totally unique to all of communications, and I think it should be vouchsafed. I think it's got a good chance. Anyway, that's what I think. And the people on the board, and we're all in this. And we shouldn't be thinking myself. I think.
But wait a second, Harold. We're not in all this together.
Okay.
As far as running the public access TV station,
talk about it.
having a vote, and what we have to say. We are the producers. Our content goes out on the air, and we make M&N because we're the producers. Yeah, we have no vote in saying how the regulations go and how the administration goes. Disclosure on what the finances are. Authority on how to administer punishment for people that break the rules. We have no say. And also, in a given moment, infractions against people that are, maybe showing profanity, vulgarity, or violence, or commercials on TV might be penalized. But as far as deciding that, it's sort of a dictatorship there, and we're walking on eggshells.
Do you think you would have been better off when you were in that? Was it like, did you feel like you were in a kangaroo court when you were called up on charges when you had that accident or something, Frank?
I was not in any court whatsoever. I had a 3-way conversation after much begging and pleading with the director at the time and Mr. Stoney, who hung up on me and would not hear my case, and I was not allowed any time to actually defend myself. And all I know was that I was vilified, and I did not break any rules. I had an accident, which I apologized and I tried to clean up after, and it wasn't like I was maliciously intending to do anything that was destructive to the facility or anybody. So therefore, I was, vilified and punished unfairly. But I'm not talking about my case. I'm talking about everyone's case. Anyone who's banned is unfairly punished. Because banning is totally contrary to journalism and community access.
Well, they do have laws
that's
against...
why they call it a community access channel, not a public access channel.
Well, community is... What do you want?
It's not a public access
No,
channel.
you can go... Is there somebody there?
No, I think that's just me, but...
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can go down without the card.
That's the truth. It's not a public access channel. It's a community access channel. It says so on their website. If it really were public access, it would be run by the public. It's not run by the public. It's run by a bureaucracy that gets funded.
Well, yes. Well, that's always the case, isn't it, though? You're always going to have that. You get three human beings together, they make a bureaucracy.
Well,
and another thing about funding is I won 2 community public access media awards, but they went to the fiesta and had their hotels and dinners and took the reward in my name. And then for me to buy plaques at $12 a piece, which are on display at M&N, I bought plaques for my fellow people in the show I interviewed, and then for myself. And I paid $40 to be in competition for that. So they're skirting off, reaping the laurels of my work, and any copy of the plaque I had to pay for. So that's another bureaucratic snafu and BS, that if they're getting a multi-million-dollar budget, why don't the producers get a little bonus or some money or have incentives and say, you put on an award-winning program or you do something that's very poignant and pivotal for Mumia Jamal or Leonard Peltier or someone who's unfairly incarcerated, and why don't we give you a tip or a little bonus? Thank you for your such good, authentic street news programming.
Street News, here at the Street News, great newspaper. Indio's great.
By the way,
and your writing is great for Street News. You're going to do that again? You're going to write that anymore? Anyway, you write. He writes like an angel. He really writes beautifully.
Very talented man.
Yeah.
By the way, Steve is on the stream.
Yeah, the stream is now working. Steve is down reporting from Virginia. He's watching in Virginia City. Not Virginia City. It's Virginia Beach. Virginia City is Mark Twain, isn't it? But anyway, he's doing it. Well, one of the things that I'm saying is, for one thing, yeah, you've got always, when you have money coming to an institution and it comes in their name, then they're going to set up an organizational structure, and then they're going to be wanting to make, what do they got, 50-odd people on staff, so they're going to want to be setting up a system that'll work, and they're going to have to protect their staff interests and that sort of thing to make sure the thing works. And then you're going to have conflicts of personality, these kind of things whenever human beings get together. So you have an organizational structure that is there. But the producers don't have an adequate representation as producers vis-a-vis the administrators of the various facilities. And that's why I really think, first thing, when we had one of those meetings way back, Joseph and Carl, hi, Kale. Kale, welcome. Kai from the Henry George School has just come in with a friend. Welcome. One of the things that we had at one of the early ACAP meetings, we ended the meeting at 9 o'clock, and by 9:30, Carl Pearson had gone home and typed out a really beautiful suggestion of things that should be done that were so lucid and he did it in about a half an hour, and it came back. First thing was optimize the website. We ought to try to optimize the website and get our own our papers in order and so forth, and we ought to start reaching out to people across the country and who are producers and link up with producers in order to get some clout in the name of the producers. That is like, I don't know if that's like union or something.
Are you talking about ACAP's website, or are you talking about M&S?
ACAP's website should be optimized.
Yes.
That was the first thing Carl said, optimize it. Now, I don't know how to do that.
It needs to be moved from where it is. Was it Anna who set that up?
Yeah, she set it up, and God bless her.
But evidently nothing's been done.
No. Well, she left it to me, and I don't know how to make the computer work. No, somebody who knows cyber. Somebody who knows how to do a website. But we're doing everything for no money.
Right.
So somebody would have to do it because they believe in it, not because they're going to make money at it. And most people can't have time to do anything unless they're making money at it because they have to pay rent. You understand? So it's all voluntary. So somebody knows how to make a website and maximize it so that we could reach out. So people in Omaha, they can go to the site and they can click and they can become a member. Just like that. Boom, 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 boom. And then build membership based on records of what...
You got to volunteer.
Well,
Harold,
who?
Harold, I told you that I offered to set up the website.
Wonderful, you're on.
All right, but we got to decide, number one, we have to agree upon a mission statement.
Yes.
And the nature of our organization, we're not just going to slap together a website without any purpose or meaning.
That's where we got to get our papers in order.
All right. Do we want to exist on paper as an organization?
Yeah.
First of all, or do we want to remain a society rather than an actual organization?
Well, what do we think? I think we ought to get organized.
You need to send out a survey to those people on your mailing list because other people may have another opinion. I think we should exist on paper. Some people think we don't.
What do you think, Carl? Do you think we should exist on... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Coley. Everybody...
I like the idea of sending out the survey to get some input. I think that's something that we ought to do.
Do you see anything there?
It looks like it's fine.
What we think in the room, I think we could all agree that we ought to send out a survey. Is anybody that disagrees we ought to send out a survey?
Survey to whom? Who will we send it out to?
Your mailing list.
I don't know that I have much of a mailing list in terms of all the people across the country.
You've got a great mailing list.
Well, I have but my mailing list is not so well honed toward the cable access producers because the cable access producer entities are all island. They're not together. There's no thing. I've got mailing lists with a lot of bankers and a lot of intellectuals and things like that trying to solve the problem like Haiti. You know, I'm talking about the bigger problem.
Send it out to your producers
Just send it out to the producers for now and take a survey whether they want to exist on paper. I had a discussion with Dean about this.
Okay.
And he doesn't know whether we should or not, and I do value his opinion. So I want us to think about what our course of action is. I don't think we should be putting something together very hastily. I think what we should do is have a very well thought out, drawn up plan.
Okay, let's talk about it.
And have a mission statement.
Okay, you have a mission. There's a mission statement on the ACAP site. There is another.
Yes, which you didn't like.
Is that true? I don't know.
You told me you didn't like the mission statement.
I don't know that that's true.
We should also be aware of the realities.
I don't remember what I had
what
for
they
breakfast.
really are, and not go by rumor or gossip. Really know what the realities are.
Right.
For instance, I noticed there are shows that the staff gets ready, prepares for the producers, which doesn't happen for many of us.
No, they have the staff at MNN produces shows for certain people. That is, they're in the booth doing all the mixing and everything for certain people. They'll call them community something. So Tom Duane, I think, and then the homosexual show, the gay show goes because that goes on Free Speech TV. So that is produced by the staff. I think that they should, my own thing, we had a fallout with Paula over this or something, but I really think they ought to have a fast track. Because I don't think we should have only newcomers who walk in off the streets. I think we ought to make public access the thing where our so-called, put it in parentheses, leaders would want to come because they would be able to communicate. And to do that, I don't think you're going to get somebody who's real. I've had 3 people that I've talked to who are real scholars and also a politician, and they do not want to spend months learning how to make television.
Well, that's why they need
So
you.
they should have staff.
No, I don't think so.
Well, hear me out. They should have as a choice. If somebody wants to learn how to make television and all the wonders of multimedia mixing,
then they don't need us anymore.
No, listen, no. If I may, people.
They don't need us anymore.
I'll use names. Okay, I'll use a name. We have a congressperson in the Congress on the Finance Committee. In the middle of all the argumenting over with Barney Frank and everything, her name is Carolyn Maloney. Carolyn Maloney should have a program on MNN And she hasn't got time to spend weeks and months learning how to do Final Cut Pro.
I agree
Doesn't
with that.
care.
There's also,
Doesn't care.
There's students
So
that are people that have studied at M&N or oriented, and they want to help out and do programs, and they said they'll be happy to volunteer with me.
Well, that would be
and they're
fine.
anxious to work, but they don't know what to do.
All right, that would be fine. Joseph, by all means, Joseph Ben David, an angel. Talk, Joseph.
Angels.
Yeah, you are a certified angel.
Last time, when this issue came up, there was a blow up.
Yeah, Paula stormed out.
To walk out. And it was like something that was never rationally discussed.
Wow.
And the question, should there be some kind of an alternative to the very involved training program, so that some people could become producers through some kind of an intensive shorter program?
No.
Wait, before we jump.
Yeah, let him make the point. He hasn't said a word all
I
night.
don't think that this can be sort of dealt with in a heated debate. I think this is an issue that can be discussed without too much emotionalism.
Okay.
And then we could see whether the idea has any
Okay.
merit.
Let me make. I
For
made.
example,
Okay,
I
go ahead.
want
You
to
do.
be personal.
Sure, by
For
all means.
example, me.
Yes.
I have, I don't know, maybe 1,000 DVD programs
Mm-hmm.
that have never been shown. I have them, and certain people are very interested in it. But let's say I would like to put them, on for the general public, right? How can I do that? Maybe I can do it through other producers who are already skilled producers.
But you are they completed?
Well, I didn't complete anything. You see, I would
Got a lot of
start
footage,
from
yeah.
scratch.
Yeah, other producers.
Oh, well, let him make the point. Let him make
How
the
long
point.
would it take before I would be an accomplished producer like most of you? How long would it?
I don't know how long it takes,
Well,
but
someone will know. How
I'll be glad to help you with some of the things. I mean, everybody here could contribute something to help you.
Well,
I don't think you need to. There are
I'm
people
glad-
who can't do everything, and that's why building a network of people who you want to work with is important. Because I'm not that great at editing, and I've been enlisting Gloria Messer to help me with the editing, because I'm really, a novice at Final Cut. I can edit in iMovie, but Final Cut I'm sort of new at, and so I mean we all help each other out.
There's a little bit of an agenda at M&M that they like to teach people, and they get points. Deborah was very forthcoming about this. She said that everybody who she passes with Final Cut, she gets credit for.
that's right.
Therefore, when I was just helping, actually, I was helping you, and somebody on staff said the next day, "Thank you for helping him out." I said, "Yeah, it's easy. He's sitting next to me, help me." Well, lo and behold, within a half an hour, someone came and said, "What? You let him do it, and he hasn't been approved to do it." It's because it was shortcutting somebody's
Exactly.
meal ticket.
Exactly.
So the each one teach one was a little bit arrested, but generally speaking, you can get a great education there if you put the time in. And I'm not upset about it anymore because it doesn't make any difference what we
Okay.
talk about. We can't even go to the meeting.
Let me
We don't
let.
know,
Right.
Say-
But I think we'll finish his
a moot
point. He makes
Yeah, he made the point, and then I would like to introduce the idea without being interrupted for about 2 or 3 minutes, because I'm the one who proposed it, and I think it has merit.
And could you do it so that it will be relevant to my practical, concrete, personal situation?
No, because I don't know exactly. They're all interconnected. She's right. The reason they are the thing, everything they do that they can put on the books is part of a negotiating position by them. So every time we use the equipment, that goes into the books, and then when they come to negotiate for a better franchise agreement, that's the way they build up points. So they want people to be, the more you use the stuff, the more they build up points and they show how important they are. And so that's part of a bureaucracy's thing. That's their mission, or one of those things. The other issue is the thing do we want to have, well, a couple things going on. Do we want to remain as the opposition to the system? Is that a position that we're locked into, that the people in the establishment are bastards and we're going to show them up with investigative reports how terrible they are because the world's screwed up? Or are we ever going to have a mindset that we are not going to exclude the system or the major players in the economy and the political system because they're the bad guys? There's a lot of that going on. Now, that's one thing.
You're labeling here
Right.
bad guys and good guys.
Right.
That's not the issue.
My point is
the issue is there are the people who have the money and the resources to do this without us.
All right.
And there are those of us who don't have the money and resources.
Okay, are we going to limit it only to poor people that don't have money? Anybody who's well established? For instance, Carolyn Maloney is very well established. Also, people that are in an institution, they might be able to very well, let's say like Kai, if you don't mind me mentioning you, Kai's thinking of coming on. He's going to bring Henry George School thinking, which is very important, progressive thinking that should be in the dialogue. And so he's got a whole school. He's going to become a producer in the name of the school. So he may be able to have somebody who could do the production for him from his school. Some young guy could do it. He wouldn't have to be, but he's busy. Carolyn Maloney's busy. You don't want her to have to come in and spend time and listen to some kid tell him how to make Final Cut Pro work for weeks before they can do a program. And I'm telling you, the people that are most important are too damn busy to learn how to make television. You don't have to do that. You could have people on staff paid, 2 sharp guys who know how to do it if they want. They come in. There's people after people after people who say,
What does that have to do with us anyway? Do you know that anyone with 3 days can take the Express Studio class and be broadcasting in 3 days?
Oh, okay, maybe it's not an issue.
That's true.
Maybe it's not an issue.
There's a fast track thing of learning through the Express Studio where you can do it hands-on, your own production, and you can bingo within, as you say, within a few days, learn it and put on your own show.
Okay,
so
then,
if a person's not going to take a few days out to learn something, then God bless them. They don't deserve to be a television producer.
Okay,
you want to be a TV producer. You want to follow the. You want to play the game. You got to follow the rules.
That's an attitude that is vested. That's the current attitude now. You got to become a television producer to make a program. You shouldn't do that. You're going to cut off the establishment people that you want.
You could have any producer have a guest on their show and have Carolyn. In fact, I want her to be on my show.
No, not on your show. She should produce her own show, and she shouldn't have to work the fucking, excuse my language, equipment. She doesn't have to go through that learning process.
No, she doesn't have to work the equipment. Josh Volinski.
No. All right. The point is, I'm talking about scholars. I've been in touch with so many scholars, and they don't care how television is made. They don't want to learn how to work their buttons. They don't care. They just want to come in. And it's also one last thing, Kai, and then I will welcome it. The staff members who are paid out of the franchise fees should be, as a choice. You can leave it open. You can learn all the stuff. It's free. Learn how to do it if you want to. But have a choice for people who are too busy. They want to come there a half an hour, walk in, do the program, and leave, and it goes. And that's where you're going to get the people who are in the establishment position. They should be part of the programming on Access.
Okay, Harold, we agree with you. It's good. No reason why the eminent staff can't get off their butts and help people like that.
Yeah, a lot of them want to.
I'm also of the opinion that if you want to be a musician, you learn music. You want to be an artist, you learn how to paint. You want to be a TV producer, you learn how to produce a TV show.
Yeah.
And it's not that difficult a thing to do.
All right, Kai had his hand up. Kai. Introduce yourself, please. We're streaming to the whole wide world, Kai. So be careful what you say. Langley's tuned in.
Join with us. Come over here. Bring your chairs up.
Thanks for the occasion, Harold.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Kai. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm also glad for the occasion to come back into the producer's fold. I'm a kind of two-headed beast. I used to be a television producer. I produced for Discovery and other channels. I have learned Final Cut Pro and at the time Avid. However, I'm a bit rusty, and I welcome cooperation or collaboration. But I think it's important to do what you're doing, and it's also important to upgrade some of the content. I'd be more interested in doing content than Final Cut Pro, but I could tell somebody else how to do it.
Yes, right. Well, you've got a school behind you, they might be able to. But my point is they should take some of those funds, take some of those kids that are there and put them in the booth. And that's the way it was in the initial stages.
The last time we had this discussion, I don't think it was so urgent to people what's been happening. We were supposed to have an agreement by now. We're not having an agreement. Meredith has indicated, Kai, before you came in, she said that she had cable and then she took her box down, and through her digital television she was able to get the same content for free. And
Yeah, I don't understand that.
I'm speculating that something going on with the telephone company and the cable company, where the market share is just changing probably wildly every day, is causing this turbulence and this unsettledness. So I think these points are practically moot points, and I think we should move forward with the messages that we have in our heart to do the best we can with the resources we can to help the world we love in the best ways we each know how, and to cooperate to help each other if possible.
Well, that's all well and good.
Hal's proposal, though, because I think we are in an age where we don't have to learn art or music, anything else in the old way. Back if I wanted to learn symphony now, I'd go out and get some little pens and stuff and paint and everything else and do all kinds of stuff with it. If the gentleman wants to become, my brother here wants to become a producer and walks in off the street, there should be some mechanism in place where he can, in fact, produce a show. That doesn't mean everybody off the street.
Well,
and I'm not for your
could be a choice.
Hold on a minute.
It could be a
not
choice.
PC that.
You should have a show.
Who have got something to offer, who want to be producers, ought to be in place to be able to do that without having to go through the full process.
Or any of it.
Hold on. No.
They don't have to learn anything. Just do in front of the
Harold,
camera.
let me speak for me.
All right.
Coming off the street should be able to do the TV piece.
Busy man.
And I think that's important that's in place, because there are a lot of folk who are not doctors and professors, but who have more often than doctors and professors.
Yeah.
Who need to be able to come in and because they are part of the news. They are part of what is out there. They are part of the struggling masses. They are the homeless woman who would like a TV show, who has really been organizing maybe thousands of people around the city.
Thank you. That could apply. Yeah, that could apply. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that it ought to be in place. That does not, it seems to me, contradict. It's not a serious contradiction against having in place for those people like me. I want to learn everything just because I'm crazy.
Wonderful. Do, by all means.
But that means those of us who want to go through the process that's there, so we can have the two streams running without them being bucking the heads, and it will probably get us much more of a viewing audience out there, people who are listening to what we have to say. Expand, because oftentimes those people who are off the street are those people who are from Harold's high echelons. Have a mass viewing audience, people who are really listening to them in the thousands. So let's get both things going so that we all are in the game. Nobody's excluded, and we shouldn't have to fight over this.
No, but you want to get establishment people as programmers of production on public access and not scare them away or say, I haven't got time to do that. That's the point. You want Carolyn Maloney producing a program. We don't want just
Carolyn Maloney should be a producer.
Yes, and she shouldn't have to learn how to make television.
She doesn't. She could call me and I'll put on her.
All right, you could do it, maybe. But the point is institutionally. Institutionally. Wait a minute.
However, of the eminent rules, that's what we're talking about.
Yes.
What is he saying?
That runs afoul of the MNN rules to have Carol Maloney right now walk in and have her show merely because a qualified producer is willing to assist her. It does run afoul of the rules,
Yeah.
as I understand it.
No, you
Because
can do one.
Or for the ordinary person walking in should do that. You could have it done. It was done that way in the first place. When you did it up on 125th Street back in the 70s, there were people there who worked the system. They made the program, and they get to be where they're really good at it. They know how to do it. You get a couple of guys that can make a good program, and the person has to be only concerned with the content. That's all. They get in front of the camera, they're concerned with the content. And that's where you're going to get establishment people don't want to go through that whole process.
Yeah,
it's a school mom mentality.
Harold, one thing, may I speak? May I speak? Hello, may I have the floor, please? Harold, I totally agree with what you're saying. It's fine. I think we all agree it's not a big deal. But unfortunately, everyone has an ego. And if all of a sudden you have a soapbox, open mic camera where you can go in and you can have your show, and it's just a no-brainer. I know every Thursday at 6 o'clock, it's my show, it's my ego, boom. And I don't care if I'm a big shot or a small fry. We got millions of people in this city. There has to be a bit of a filtering system.
That's another question.
And if you want to go and take airtime and have your regular program just because you decide you're a big shot or you got something to say, you got to work for it if you want to have a good slot and a following.
Well, that's another issue that comes up. We're going to be swimming in bandwidth. I think the 4 channels we have can become 12 very easily. I think we could have a thing like Sandbox on Wikipedia where you can be building stuff. How many people do we want to have? Are there more people that want to use it than we have the ability to handle? Do we want to push people away? Do we want to push establishment people away because they're the enemy? Do we have only people who are homeless? What is the philosophy behind it? We've got to have a system that's going to get everybody in there, and that's all I'm saying.
Everybody?
Back here.
Well, how many? What are the limits?
Wait a minute. We have limited facilities at Manhattan Neighborhood.
Okay, that's a question. That's a question.
Sometimes I can't even get an editing station.
Okay, that's the question. That's
You know
what
what I
those
mean?
are things we could bring
only
up.
so much money. We need a bigger building there.
Maybe we need a bigger building. Whatever. These are things to be brought up. If you get establishment people there, that's going to be good politically for the movement.
None of this stuff is.
Don't throw them away because you got a school mom mentality.
No. We got somebody back here. Now, come on, let's don't insult each other. We got somebody back here.
Wait a minute. She's got her hand, and then Josh. Go ahead.
I'm an ordinary person.
Yes.
And I'm
So are you
highly
all.
right, and I'm highly educated.
Yeah, I know.
I Joshua gave me an envelope.
Yeah.
And I was told that in order for me to have a program or to provide content, I have so much content that I'd like to share.
Yes.
But I choose not to because it's not that I don't have the time, because we all have 168 hours a week.
Okay.
I am not technical enough, and I don't know what the producers here know, and they don't know what I know. So the issue is, how do you get content providers like me and put me through a screening process, getting back to the 501c3? Because there are projects and people, there's an assessment process that could be gone through. Not just any old person, I'm going to have a 6 o'clock program because I'm, my ego. No, you put me through an assessment process. It's almost like a bidding. If I want my program to be shown, then I write up a proposal, and it goes to a committee, and it's a programming committee, and you decide about the quality.
To the degree possible, you want anybody to be able to do, you want to be democratized to the degree possible. Sidney Dean, who was the father of cable access and everything like that, he said you should always have the capacity in excess of the demand. So you should have a capacity to handle, and you ask people at Eminent, do we have more people wanting to use it than we can handle? Is that a problem? Is that the reality? Apparently not, as they say.
It is
okay, so that's an issue. That's a thing to get the demographic.
Air hours.
Well, okay, but you're going to be able to get 12 channels out of those 4 with the bandwidth.
Let's see that happen first.
Well, yeah, but okay, let's concentrate. What are the realities? How diverse can we get? Can we follow Wikipedia? With the Sandbox idea, where you can build a thing up and you can put it over here, or things to include as many people, but we want to have an even chance at getting the leaders of the society in there making a program.
But you are asking the leaders like me to learn how to be a producer.
No, I'm not. No. Actually,
and I don't want to be.
He's doing just the opposite.
I'm saying no. I'm with you. You shouldn't have to.
I don't want to learn.
Yeah.
I mean, that's easy.
Well, my argument. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I have content.
I'd like to say something.
Well, we all have content.
That's not my understanding. That's not my
We need to hear a new voice.
Ike.
All right, I just,
Barbara.
I might be able to, put something.
Straighten this all out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I started to be a producer at Brooklyn Community Access TV. That's where I got started before I ended up in Manhattan. Isn't it true that you can go from Manhattan and deliver your tape in BCAP? They don't care if you're a producer, how did you do it? They don't really care. All you have to do is put it together and come in there and put it in. You don't have to say, oh, I took a class at Manhattan Cable, I took it at BCAT, I took it here, I took it there. It doesn't really matter. All you have to do is get maybe the cameraman to shoot, and you say, hey, can you do this for me? And I think that can definitely solve. Everybody doesn't have to be a producer. If you feel you're not technically inclined to produce the show, you can maybe have somebody like me. I'm always willing to help also. So let's say the lady that was talking, you don't want to be a producer, you don't want to be bothered with that. I'm sure one of us can, once I start getting my editing and stuff, you can bring the show.
Sure, one program, but that's not the agreement.
But Meredith,
it's not the culture.
Meredith, what I was just trying to say is, I don't think it's worth
She
our
wants to be a
time to
producer, but she
discuss
don't have to.
something.
That's what I'm saying.
Because
What I'm
we're
saying
talking
is that
about
she can
the
still
Bible.
have the show done without doing all the technical stuff. She can have
Yeah,
somebody else.
that's
do
all
it.
she said. That's
That's
all
not
she's
the
asking
culture.
of. All she's asking.
Yeah, and I think that can be done. It's not
So
too
many
complicated.
producers would love to have content for their show.
But she wants to do her own show.
Could I suggest that we use our valuable time to ask Carl Peterson about what's going on with Google? I think that's something we should do.
That's I want to find out.
I want to hear from you.
Well, Google, as everyone should know, has a monopoly, or a near monopoly, on the storage and retrieval and distribution of information. It's becoming more and more, and it's a serious problem because things that all of us want to do, suddenly we have Google being able to stop us, and there's no remedy. It's really, they hosted 3 presidential debates at a fairly new company, and their president is a close advisor to the new president.
Which group is this? I'm sorry.
Google.
I know we're talking about Google.
Yeah.
You mentioned the
Who's
new
an
company.
advisor?
Schmidt, the
We're
president,
having
the
Harold.
CEO of Google, is a close economic advisor to the president.
Oh, is that
Yeah.
nice?
So the biggest monopoly that we have that I've ever seen, and potentially, is Google, only because nobody can compete with them. Yahoo is really history, except if it finds a niche business. Microsoft is unable to compete. It doesn't have the money, really. They're being targeted by Google for destruction. Google is putting in the clouds, so to speak, the various programs that Microsoft is selling for money.
Right.
And Google is making these programs available for the world to download for nothing, so that nobody then has to pay Microsoft, and that destroys, well, you applaud. On the other hand, that turns over one monopoly into another. It means
Well,
a
that's
lack
true.
of
It's
competition.
piranha. It's
So
piranha.
I'm not so sure that I understand and I appreciate what you're saying is that thank God, but then who is to compete and stop Google? Am I the only one in the world? Because I'm today the only one in the entire world suing Google for monopolization. I personally, as the plaintiff. Nobody else, even though the new Justice Department official appointed by Obama mentioned one company as having to look because they have a possible monopoly, and that she mentioned Google. No other company in the whole world. It's a problem.
It's a conflict
I
of
see
interest.
it clearly because I was an advertiser, a AdWords advertiser, and I saw what they did to me. I tried to run for Attorney General, and I figured that if I could put together a list of people interested in my candidacy by using only the unwanted keywords, the ones that I could buy for a penny apiece.
Right.
I could put together a list of 1 million people in New York for an email list. Voila, I now have my campaign. The minute I did that, a week later, without any telephone and without any email, they notify me electronically that unless I agreed to pay 50 cents every time I bid a penny. They would not accept my advertising any further. That means that instead of putting a list together for $10,000, they now demanded that I pay them $500,000.
He had a chance to be Attorney General through the power of that advertising. And
So I brought suit against Google. Now, Google has a pay-per-click, it has a click-wrap agreement, which you never read, which they never allowed you before to make a copy of, which said that anyone in the world who was an advertiser at AdWords, if they have any trouble with Google, if they want to bring a lawsuit or an arbitration proceeding, no matter where they are in the world, they have to bring it in Santa Clara County, California. Antitrust, by the way, is exclusively federal, so you can only go into federal court. Federal court there only has 3 judges, only one of whom has a case for antitrust with Google at any one time, and that is automatically the judge who is assigned to the case if you ever should sue Google in antitrust. There are 670 federal judges in the country, and one of them is already selected by Google as the judge you go before.
Why does Google select the judge?
Because I've just told you.
Because they're a multi-billionaire company and they buy off of justice.
No, they impose a click-wrap agreement on you in which you can't be an advertiser.
It's a racket.
Monopoly unless you agree that you have to bring the action in Santa Clara County, federal district court, and you're going to get one judge. That judge, whoever the judge was, dismissed my case, saying that, in his opinion, that anyone who would like pay-per-click advertising would absolutely be just as happy to have display advertising. That was his ruling. 3 months later, the FTC said anyone in the world who says that display and pay-per-click are similar is sorely misunderstanding. It is really not the same. 2 different markets, yes.
See, I'm on the other end of Google. I'm the one whose site you would advertise
46
on.
minutes.
And they did the same thing to me, but in a different way. They said I violated terms of service. I read the terms of service. I violated nothing. But they have the right to cut off my pay.
I'm complaining about your situation in my complaint. I'm saying my complaint is against the way that they are monetization of website traffic. That's the ultimate.
They can pull it at any time they want at their whim.
I'm saying that when they allow you to monetize your website, they're doing it through AdSense.
That's right.
Not through AdWords. AdWords is the big money maker. AdSense is a sop to make you think that you're getting some of the Google revenues.
Well, I was.
But you're very little. They give you very little through AdSense.
Yeah, Kai's going to have to leave soon, so he'll get...
I apologize, I had a long day, I'm tired, and I haven't eaten anything, so I'm going to...
I know the feeling well.
I appreciate to have been included here. I appreciate your comments because our school stands for 2 things. We are against land and natural resources monopolies, and we are against every other monopoly. So in other words, what you're doing with Google is perfect. That's right on target. I think I would join you in your suit if you needed somebody else.
That's Henry George talking.
I understand. We met here and we want to talk.
I remember we have to definitely do that. I apologize that I'm a little bit low on energy tonight, but we have to follow that up.
Can we make an appointment now? Let's go on the next
How do you...
Wouldn't AOL and all these other companies vying for bandwidth want to join you and suing Google?
I tried to bring them in and they're all afraid. Everyone's afraid.
I would like to...
Can I get your card?
I'll be right back.
Yes.
Yeah. And I wonder if we could go back to Ben David's thing, right? Because Ben David brought up a thing. Could we address that, you guys, or something? Because he's saying he's got a lot of... And I don't think we fairly treated what he was saying. And he's got a lot of content. And could you follow through on that? Because I got off on a tangent.
Well, I think
Joseph, let him talk for a minute.
would work with it. Many of us would.
You want to speak to who?
I want to.
Now?
Some of these people, yeah.
Yeah, go talk to them then. But let's get back to that. Because you've got a lot of footage you want to have treated or something
Well, I
like that.
told him I would help him.
That's good.
I gave him my card.
That's wonderful, Barbara.
I'd be glad to help him. I'm all for his humanistic point of view. Too.
Yeah, he's a wonderful, he's a genuine, beautiful, I mean, believe me.
I know.
He represented Martin Buber. in this country. I mean, the major Jewish philosopher maybe in the history of philosophy. And he's a beautiful guy, yeah. We got a great group of people.
Well, WBAI has trouble with humanism too. In other words, it's only a half hour every Sunday, and they want more time, but they're very aggressive and very skilled of what they do, and they have made it to first base at WBAI. They've had specials on humanism, and some of the great minds and scholars on humanism have been on that program. But of course they are at a disadvantage. They're given generally a half hour every week.
That might be valuable because you're at BAI, and BAI is listener support, and they've been around, you've been there since '63.
Yes.
Pacifica. How does it work at Pacifica when you're talking about who? There must be more people that want to put on programs on BAI or Pacifica than there's room for.
It's not comparable.
How do you deal with the
It's
thing
not
where?
comparable because
Okay.
Manhattan Neighborhood Network has about, 2,400 producers.
Well, that's on the
BAI
books,
has
yeah.
about 300 producers. So there's quite a difference there. Also, there is an administration at BAI too, and in many ways they can be quite autocratic and domineering. That's how things work in this world.
You know, I have a proposal that might be helpful here.
Here you go, listen there.
And that is this, that what you and I, because we're both content people, more so than technical, I'm very highly content. I have qualified as a producer, however. I spent my few hours and I did the least necessary training. And it really is difficult to retain all this stuff. Very difficult.
Nobody remembers. You just learn by doing anyway.
It's difficult. So
Yeah,
I
but
need
you
help.
can make a
Here's
point.
The proposal.
Yes, make the point.
The proposal is this, that I see a value in YouTube more than I see a value in having it distributed through MNN. However, if we could, in recognizing that, then you and I would be very happy to have whatever help we can get at MNN merely to create the videos, even though we don't insist that they distribute them.
Right.
Right? Right? That's the solution.
Yes, of
Well,
course.
that's good, yeah.
Of course.
But I think that
everybody's there to promote their website anyway. I mean, nobody really.
I think-
We don't have to
Who
be
watches this
distributed through
stuff?
MNN to be able to want to have our videos created at MNN.
one of the things you could think about is that MNN, if it depends again on the budget and that, but I don't see why we don't just get, when we go in the studio, a file. And it goes straight to the program server.
Well, they're intending
and
to do
that they
that.
get not only that, you could have a machine that would automatically, it could be automatically compressed and uploaded to YouTube automatically at the same time. And everything, you should have a scan disc you can stick in, you could take a DVD or a scan disc away with you. And that could be and you can also send files to them so that they could put into their program. It would make it more efficient.
Let's call them content producers rather than technical. Content producers.
No, why make the distinction?
There is a distinction. There is a distinction.
Well, as people who are strictly content don't care about the technical, but
No,
then
we care about the technical, but we don't want to have to do it ourselves.
right.
You don't.
Like
What I'm
Carolyn,
saying
she's
is I
a
would waive-
content person.
Who's Carolyn?
You're
Carolyn
Carolyn
Maloney.
Maloney. She would be content.
She's
I
a
would-
content
I
provider.
would waive any right that I might have to have my stuff distributed through MNN. That I would be
Why?
happy to do that. I'm waiving it because it's more important to be produced than to be seen
Why
on
not
MNN.
do both?
Well, I
if you
agree.
wanna
I
do
agree
it,
with
I'm
that.
happy. I'm
Yeah,
happy.
but why don't they do that now? Why don't they have it just automatically uploaded to
Only
YouTube?
because the content producer
Because
doesn't
YouTube is a
qualify under
private
the rules.
entity.
Well, what's wrong with that?
They have an agreement with Blip.
Yeah, and I'm willing to
Well,
bend the
okay,
rules
now
and
you're
say,
talking about the
let us
details.
produce
Okay.
it, and if
No,
you
but they
don't
have
wanna
an
show it,
agreement
then
with
don't
Blip.
show it. I
Blip
don't
is
care.
there. It could automatically go up.
Okay.
YouTube is a private enterprise. It's owned by Google. You don't, they don't have.
Okay, wait a minute. That's interesting. We were talking about how you could automatically go up to the net, and you can't go to YouTube, but you can go to Blip.
Yeah, they have an agreement.
Okay,
with
that's an interesting thing because obviously everything's going to be on the internet.
It
You
will
want to
be.
get it on the internet.
Eventually, it will be. First
So
of all,
why
it'll be
is it if
taken
it's a
down.
public company you can't upload to a private company? Why?
I'm not saying that you can't. I'm saying that the current setup that they have is that their content automatically goes on their live stream, and from their live stream you could also upload to Blip.
Why don't they do that automatically? Every program.
They're planning to do all of the above.
Okay, that's something that could happen.
As all of these things are changing.
And once you get it on
technology
Blip,
is changing.
you could go to TubeMogul and have it go to 17 different places that stream television.
I've got a solution for Paula. Paula's problem is that they take stuff off of YouTube. It's not just her problem, it's a problem.
That's their prerogative.
Well, here's what I would say, that an antitrust suit requiring Google to post a link to the news site when they take off anything that's been there more than a certain length of time, that they have to provide a link to the news site. How about that?
Wow.
Yeah. So that you can.
Well, they've got.
Where do you take that to court? Where can you?
That's just in a complaint. You might be able to sue and get even as a settlement.
That's going to hang for years. By that time, the technology will have changed.
It could even be possibly by settlement because it's not that outrageous just to have a link.
Yeah. Well, could I bring up something? You're familiar.
I don't rely on private corporations to satisfy. I don't.
I want capital ownership in them.
No, well,
That's way down the line,
stock in the
darling.
company. If you're really interested in what Google or YouTube has to say, buy stock in the company. It is not a public utility, and when you upload content to YouTube, you're signing an agreement. You got to read the terms of service of the agreement.
I asked Carl months ago, how did YouTube get such bandwidth? How did they come out
these
of the
two
gate
guys,
with such bandwidth?
these two guys who started YouTube paid for the bandwidth server space.
Who did they pay?
You buy server space.
It's server the size of the Empire
You
State
buy
Building.
servers. I have servers.
This is like the Old Testament of servers. Where did they come from?
I pay server space.
Sergey Brin
A lot of them
from
are out
Moscow.
of the country, and it's cheaper out of the country. And a lot of,
seriously.
some of them are in Southeast Asia.
What Kai Hayner was saying was that they were against monopolies on land and all monopolies. In other words, what Henry George noticed was that the people who ran out right away and staked out a lot of land were the ones who eventually, their children became extraordinarily wealthy.
Right. Well, that's what's happening
now. What I'm
now.
wondering is, how did YouTube get out of the gate to get that much?
They didn't have that much server space to
that
start off with.
history.
Well, look it up on Google.
Let me try to explain something to you. Google had the capital to invest in more servers.
But who did they buy it from? It's like, was it bees from Manhattan?
No, they don't come from one place.
He's got the answer.
They don't come from one place.
Here's the answer.
He has
and
the
the
answer.
question is not a good question. The servers, they have more than 1 million computers which they buy, which they manufacture. They manufacture themselves, according to the history that I've read, from off-the-shelf parts. And they have more than 1 million tied together in a huge network that's worldwide. The question, however, is not the server. The question is the bandwidth, and that means the telephone lines. That means T1.
You mean the fiber optics?
Yes, who's paid for the T1 and other telephone bandwidth? And that they were running into a deficit until they learned how to put advertising above the search results. With pay-per-click advertising, they were running at a deficit, and they were being financed by the people that also financed
They're still on a deficit.
This is incredible.
This is what happened here. Then, with pay-per-click advertising and the big hullabaloo that said, hey, you're distorting the results because you're throwing up paid advertising with search results, you're making it an unclean result.
That's right. The first four, the last four.
Right at that point was the beginning of the biggest monopoly ever.
Just a second, slow down. Explain
Right there.
to me. I don't get that.
The search results are pure if you only have search being given back to you. But they were throwing back advertising in addition on the right-hand side.
Well, they're still doing it in the first four and the last four of every
money
page.
for the first time, because you'll notice that there is no monetary market in search itself. You don't pay for search. So they created a market where people would pay, and that was through me as a customer and you as a customer in search advertising. That is where all of the money is coming in. Then they have display as a much weaker BS deal, meaning it is not really. Now, it didn't even compete with Google. So Google was allowed to acquire DoubleClick because they're not even in the same market.
Right.
But they're going to be. They're going to be merging all of this in the way that Google is truly the greatest company in the world with everything that they do. And it's